Hello everyone and welcome back to Tier 2 in APPF1. We're here for round 8 of this 10 race championship in China. It's going to be a great race today as we really get to the business end of the championship now. It looks like Lawrence and LB, with Robsu not here today, are the two gunning for the title as LB goes on to provisional pole for now. We've had some drama early in the session that we missed on the stream. Lawrence, the championship leader, had a crash with JB in the McLaren. I have no idea what happened. Neither does Rick, who's here with me today. He will be acting a bit more like Ted Kravitz today, he was in his words. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, so we'll have to find out later on. But Lawrence could be in a bit of trouble if it was his fault. In terms of post-race penalties, he's starting his first lap of the session for now. Alex G is on pole position in the Aston Martin with a 31.9, and LB, the current championship runner-up, is in P2, just a couple of tenths behind. There we go. Oh, hang on. Leader, there we go. Lawrence coming through Sector 1 now, a 24.1 through Sector 1 as MCL goes up into P3, about half a second down on the provisional pole sitter, Alex. But Lawrence coming through the middle sector now. He's got a Haas not too far ahead of him, about a corner ahead. So hopefully no more incidents for Lawrence in qualifying today as he comes around the double left-hander. A little bit wide on the exit, but that's always really hard with no line, that corner. And through comes Lawrence. Through into the final sector. This long right-hander, you've got to get it right. You've got to get the power down early. I'm always too scared to get the power down early around there. But it sets you up so well for the long straight that you have to risk it. As Lawrence comes through, Crozer P6 at the moment, a long way down. But here he comes to the hairpin. He's braked too late for the hairpin, and round he comes to the final corner. That's going to lose him a couple of tenths, I think. And again through the final corner, hits the curb and down to the line. It's a 32.6 is the opening lap from our championship leader. And, well, not the start he was hoping for. An incident with JB and a late braking at the hairpin, going very deep. And I think Rick might have more information on what happened early on with the crash.
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. In the words of JB, Lawrence was turning off his line whilst coming out of the pit lane. So I assume Lawrence would have been on the apex of turn 1, and JB on a hot lap would have taken him with him.
I see.
Meaning he crashed. I'd assume his rear right or front right tire into Lawrence.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I think Lawrence could be in quite a bit of trouble for that one. And our championship leader could have a 10-second penalty to deal with by the stewards. Tier at the moment has got a wall to deal with and a broken front wing as he crashes out in Sector 2. He's still in the session, so he'll be able to get back into the pits and replace that front wing. But he's got to reassert himself and not think too much about the last time Tier 2 raced in China, because last time it was a dry to wet race. Tier took pole position, and then it got wet and he was leading the race, and we all thought Tier's in big here. He's in for a great shot at this race win. We know how much he likes the wet conditions, and then he proceeded to crash out under the safety car. So he's got to do better this time, but going into the wall in qualifying, not the greatest omen, unfortunately, for the British driver. I'm just going to post the stream in the chat. There we go. There we go. Okay. So yeah, JB's going to have to start from the back of the grid again. as Scott comes through on his first proper lap of the session. His first lap, 13.5 seconds down on pole, so clearly not representative, although he's oh no, he does have his ERS on, so round he comes down towards the hairpin, but he's going to run out of ERS on this lap, so it's still not going to be a representative lap time for him. Sumo, I think, will be quite happy with where he is. He's about 6/10 down on Jonathan, but he's slowly improving with that new wheel. And he's picking up points now and a little further up the grid than he was earlier in this season when he was still very fresh on the wheel. LB in the Alfa Romeo is purple in Sector 1. He's only 1,000th of a second up on his previous best, though, so very similar to his previous time. As he comes through the middle sector now, can he nail this? This is where all the time can be gained a lot of the time on this track. This middle sector, it was certainly the case in Tier 1 and Elite. That's where the likes of Lifebout gained so much time on the rest of the field in Sector 2. And LB 1.5 tenths up in that middle sector, so he's going to have to get this final sector right if he wants to take provisional pole position. He's only 2 tenths down on Alex, so he needs another half tenth in this final sector. DRS open for the British driver, the two-time Tier 2 champion, as he comes hurtling down towards the hairpin, brakes very late, just before the 100-meter board, but gets it turned in, doesn't go wide like his championship rival, and through the final corner comes LB. Can he take provisional pole? He doesn't, because he invalidates at the final corner, and he's going to have to wait a bit longer. He's going to have to try one more time to get that pole position. He's going to be frustrated with that one, because it was looking like a decent lap. But Jonathan round the final corner now in the Aston Martin. Is he improving on his previous best? Yes, he is, by 3 tenths. It's a 32.4 for Jonathan, and he's really not that far off. He's well on the pace today, which is great to see. He's saying, who broke the 100-meter board at the end of Sector 1? Let's keep riding on board with him just to see what he's talking about. He's talking about the next corner, so not this right-hander. It's the braking zone here. Yes, the 100-meter board on the left is broken, but he'll notice there's still one on the right. I don't know if he has noticed that. I'll just, if you could just let him know, Rick, in the chat, that there is another 100-meter board on the right-hand side of the track if he hasn't seen it yet. But Lawrence has invalidated his effort as well. The championship leader not enjoying this track at the moment. What about Sumo? He's coming to the line. DRS open for the Mercedes driver. He goes P6, a huge improvement from Sumo as he qualifies ahead of the championship leader at the moment. 7 tenths down on Alex, but a 7.5 tenths improvement on his last lap. He'll be chuffed with that, I think. Will, my former commentary partner. As Scott coming through into the final sector now. He's got ERS this time to spend, but I don't think he's on a lap right now. No, he's bailed out of the one he's on. Ace is in P3, by the way. He did that lap when we weren't looking. And Krauser coming to the end of the final sector. At the moment, to the final corner comes the McLaren driver, clatters over the curb, but doesn't unsettle the car too much, and he goes P4. Great lap from Krauser. He looked nowhere until then, and now he is very much amongst the pack in terms of pace. Alex is also on a lap. No, he's not. He's bailed out of that one, as Tier is going to be the next to set a competitive lap time. Round the final corner comes the Red Bull driver. He hasn't crashed it this time. He hasn't invalidated at the final corner either. To the line for Tier, and it's P3. That is much better from the British driver, the championship runner-up last season. And it's good to see him slowly getting back to form. He's not had the greatest season after his so near championship win last season, which almost came out of absolutely nowhere. He was very strong at the start of the season and then tailed off towards the end. But he didn't have quite enough to hold on to his championship lead. But this season hasn't quite gone well. Hopefully 2024 will be a better year for Tier. But at the moment he's just looking to recover from a poor start to the season and end it off nicely. Looks like no one's on a lap right now. Yeah, Tyr and Krause are both on in laps and everyone else in the pits. Right, well, while everyone's in the pits then, let's talk about the championship standings. So, it's Lawrence, obviously, the championship leader. He's currently P9, though. Needs a lot more than what he's got at the moment. On this track, 113 points for Lawrence with 3 rounds to go, including this one. LB is 19 points behind on 94 points, so it's just under a race win's worth of points between the two of them. So Lawrence with a big lead, which he needs to take into Baku because it's a track he does not have good history with. Robsu in P3 in the standings with 85 points, but he's not here today. Jackalacco also not here today, and he's got 64 points in P4. So Aces versus Kings has a great opportunity to take P4 in the championship today, as he's on 62 points, just 2 points behind Jacko. But it does seem like a 2-horse race for the driver's title. 113 plays 94 for Lawrence and LB. And in the Constructors' Championship, it is on a knife edge between Alfa Romeo and Williams. And only one of each team here today, Jacko and Robsu, both couldn't make it. So this Constructors' Championship is definitely going to go down right to the wire. Alfa Romeo on 179, Williams on 177. So it is mighty close between those two. And very much looking forward to see who comes out on top, especially with these final couple of tracks. Baku, always chaos, and Brazil can always provide some incredible championship finales. So we'll see how it goes. Aces on his final run of the session right now. He's got ERS deployed as he comes through Sector 1 and turns 1 and 2. And then down towards the end of Sector 1. Is it going to be an improvement for the Haas driver? He was just a few thousandths of a second off pole position last week, but this week nearly 4/10 off of Alex's lap. As he comes through Sector 1, he's about half a tenth down, so the middle sector is going to be where he needs to find time. Alex on a lap as well, the current provisional pole sitter. He's coming to the end of Sector 1. We'll keep an eye on if he improves through this first sector. Yes, by 4.5 tenths. Oh my word. How has he found this much time? I think everyone's going to really struggle to beat that. Aces is not improving, so he's going to have to try again. He does have time to go for one more run, but his tyres will be a little bit more worn. Sumo as well on a lap, coming through Sector 1 right now, and he's half a tenth up as well in the Mercedes as he looks to improve. It's a good track for wheel this as well, so a good chance for Sumo to get right amongst the pack today. Scott coming through the middle sector right now in the Haas as well. As he comes to the sector line, we'll see if he's improving. He is by half a second, but he needs a lot more than that to qualify any better than P10 today. He's a long way off the rest of the pack for now. As Lawrence also on a lap. Sumo spun just as I praised him. That is a shame to see. But Lawrence in Sector 1 at the moment. Aces is just about to start his final run. What about Alex G? He's coming to the final corner. Is this going to be a completely unstoppable lap time? He gets a huge slide out the final corner, which will cost him a huge amount of time, and it has. He was 4.5 tenths up in Sector 1. He's only improved by 1.5 tenths, but it is still an improvement for him on that provisional pole time. Can anyone get close to that? Tyr just starting a lap, LB just starting a lap, Aces as well starting a lap, and Krauser, MCL, everyone's about to get their laps underway. Lawrence coming through Sector 2 at the moment. He's 2 tenths up in the first sector. Can he get his way further up that grid? He's 6 tenths up. This is much, much better from the championship leader. Much more like what we're used to. Can he take a shock pole position when he's been right at the back of the grid all session long? Can he pull one out the bag when it matters? He's coming onto the back straight now. DRS open all the way down to the hairpin. We've got to keep an eye on everyone else too, but I'm just going to see them as they come across the line. Lawrence to the hairpin. There's 2 cars in the pits. That's JB, of course, and Sumo already pitted after a spin, so he will not be improving. Lawrence, though, to the final corner. What can the championship leader do? Is it going to be enough for pole? It is! At 31.713, and Alex is going to be kicking himself that he didn't follow through on that amazing first sector. What about everyone else? Tia coming to the final corner. Can he do anything about that time from Lawrence to the line of 32.0? It's not enough. Krauser hasn't done enough either. What about Aces? He's invalidated. And there's Alex as well. No, there's the other Aston Martin of Jonathan. 32.5, not enough. MCL P2, 34 thousandths of a second, but it's LB who takes pole from his championship rival right at the death with a 31.5. What an exciting qualifying session that was. And it's the 2 championship rivals on the front row, but Alex G is going to be furious with himself because he really should have had pole position here. Lost 3 tenths in the rest of the track after dominating in Sector 1. And, well, that was certainly something, wasn't it, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Alex, so unfortunate to lose out after that amazing Sector 1. LB as well, putting in a great lap for himself in his title challenge to beat Lawrence. So he's going to have a lot of hope for this race, and he just needs to hope Lawrence has a bad race.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Baku coming up, he would love to close that points margin, ready for the track where anything, absolutely anything can happen. And but just look at those margins, less than 2 tenths between all of the top 4. Then there's a bit of a gap to Tier, and then a bit more of a gap to Aces. But I feel like all of those drivers in the top 8 or so, it could have improved by quite a lot. So the race pace is going to be interesting to see. And who can call this one? It is LB on pole position, though, with Lawrence, the championship leader, alongside. But he's got a 5-place grid penalty, which I didn't notice, for the contact with JB. And he could end up with a steward's penalty as well later down the line. We will see. But he's going to start from P7, actually, in this race. And MCL's going to join LB on the front row instead. Then it'll be Alex, who'll be gutted he didn't get pole. Tia in P5. Aces P6. Krauser P7, and then it will be Lawrence actually in P7, Jonathan P8, and then Sumo and Scott make out the rest of the grid, with JB taken out of the session early. He'll start from the back. Sorry, just drinking. Feel like I'm going to need a bit more of that water.
Just gonna add a few things here. Yeah, MCL apparently set his best lap on a used set of softs, meaning he has an extra set of softs for the race. Bless you.
Thank you.
And meaning he could have just as well easily taken a pole position here. So yeah, he's got an extra set of softs for the race.
Yeah, interesting. It's going to be a fascinating Grand Prix with Lawrence starting from P7. We know how much pace he has now. And of course, Alex, MCL, we know how fast they are from Quali 2. Formation lap about to get underway. But MCL seemed like he had taken his first APPF1 victory last week. But after stewards, it wasn't quite to be. It was admitted by the stewards that it was a harsh 5-second penalty just for tapping LB wide, and he let him back through afterwards. But because both of them lost the position to Alex, who stormed past, the stewards had no choice but to give the penalty, which dropped MCL down to fourth, in the end. So he'll be looking for his next chance to get a victory in APPF1, and today might be the day. He's currently sitting on the front row, and we know he's got extra pace in that Alpine due to the used tyres. So we'll see what he can do, but LB's got a point to prove. He's 19 points behind. He wants 3 Tier 2 championships. Even if he might feel like a bit of a Scrooge, I think. I think he feels like the rest of the grid don't want him to win a 3rd championship. But I think he's perfectly happy to play the role of the villain, don't you think, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely. He's said some things like it in the past, and I'm sure he will continue in the future. So I don't think he's in any wrong with it, and I think he actually likes it, like you said.
Yeah, we heard some very very fighting words from LB in an interview a few weeks ago for a podium interview, when he was talking about Lawrence's chances of winning the championship. I wish I remembered what the exact quote was, but it was something like, "I'm faster than him, I'm a better driver than him, so there's no way he's winning the title," or something to that effect. So, well, currently he's 19 points behind, so he's going to have to find something in these last 3 rounds to close down that gap. But Lawrence, starting from P7, is going to give LB a great shot. LB and MCL both starting on mediums, then Alex on the hards is an interesting choice. Well, not an interesting choice, I think it's a perfectly reasonable choice, but with all 4 cars around him on mediums, he's going to be in a bit of a struggle at the start. Tier and Aces on the mediums as well, and then hards all the way down to Sumo, and then Scott on mediums, and JB starting on the softs from the back of the grid. We're about to get ready for a thrilling Chinese Grand Prix, as MCL lines up in his grid box, very nicely goes around Tier, but still gets himself disqualified for going too far. But here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Chinese Grand Prix. It's a great start from LB. He covers off MCL straight away into turn 1. He's got the inside line. MCL's going to try and cut him back, but there's no chance for that unless he looks to the inside now. There's a tiny bit of contact, but he backs out just in time. A bit of wheel spin as well, as there's positions changing all the way down the grid. Lawrence already up to P5. Great start for the championship leader. And now a bit of a mistake from LB could allow MCL to dive down the inside into the next corner, but he doesn't go for it. Alex just taps him as they go through the braking zone, but no harm done. Aces and Lawrence fighting just a bit behind. Lawrence trying to get himself into P4. He's had a great start already, and as he looks to try and chase down his championship rival, Tier in P6, Scott up to P7 as well. Great start for the Haas driver too. JB hasn't made any progress on the softs yet, which he'll be frustrated with, I'm sure, as everyone files through down towards the end of Sector 2. A very clean start from Tier 2. Great stuff, guys, as they all come through into the final sector. LB leads this Grand Prix with MCL just behind. Alex has stayed with them on those hard tyres. He's done a great job to do that, as he now presses the ERS to try and get past MCL into the hairpin, but it's going to be perhaps 3 wide into the hairpin as Alex looks to the inside but has to back out because MCL and LB side by side. But now Alex to the inside as MCL goes deep, but no moves being made still, and LB still leads this Grand Prix for now, as I've got to disable that so no one gets an unfair advantage. LB sets the fastest lap, of course, on the first lap, but MCL looking to the inside, looking to the outside, can't find a way past this Alfa Romeo driver at the moment. The gaps are a bit broken at the moment, but they'll fix themselves at the end of lap 2. That's what usually happens. MCL, a bit of contact with LB as he looks to the inside, put his nose where it didn't belong, I don't think, and Aces gets both of them up to P2. What a move from the Haas driver, and what a move this could be from Lawrence, as he sends it to the inside of the Ukrainian driver in the Aston Martin, and he's up to P4. Alex really struggling on those hard tyres at this stage, and Lawrence continues the chase up towards P1 where he feels like he belongs. Tier looking to the outside of Alex as well. This Aston Martin really struggling in these early stages of the race on those hard tyres. He's got to be careful not to bin it. Losing positions is better than a DNF as they all file through. Jonathan, Sumo and JB a long way behind. You can see on the mini-map. I'm not sure what happened between those three, but I don't know if any of them have damage. Yeah, Jonathan has a broken front right end plate as Aces now looks to make the move on LB. And in fact, LB loses 2 places in one straight here down towards the hairpin. I think he maybe gave the positions up on purpose. I'm not sure. But MCL looks to the inside of Aces as they break. Alex breaks to the inside of Lawrence. Lawrence leaves him the room and Alex gets the inside line but loses the rear a bit on the exit, and Lawrence keeps the place. Tier trying to go up the inside of Alex in the last corner, and it's always going to end like that. Tier around. I don't think he's got anyone to blame but himself for that one. Put his nose where it didn't belong and he's ended up facing the wrong way. DRS now enabled as Tier drops to the back of the grid, unfortunately, and the gaps have sorted themselves out now on the top left corner of your screen. Lawrence chasing after LB, who's dropped to 3rd. That was really weird. He seems to have no pace at all on the straight. I wonder if it was a technical fault or something like that. But after they started 6 places apart on the grid, LB and Lawrence are back to being within 1 place of each other. This is going to be good. And these two, no love lost. I'm sure they will fight each other tooth and nail when the time comes. But it's Aces who leads this Grand Prix with MCL just behind. We've already had a Haas winning a Grand Prix this season in Tier 2. It was Scott who sensationally won after a penalty was given to LB in Mexico. But Aces looking to make it 2 wins for Haas this season as MCL has the DRS just behind. He wants to make it his first win in APPF1. After he got it taken away from him last week. Sumo round in the final sector. Meanwhile, unfortunately, that long right-hander is always going to catch someone out today, and Sumo's the first victim of it, unfortunately. Ace is a bit deep at the final corner, but MCL loses the rear to compensate as Lawrence is past LB in the meantime. I didn't even notice the championship leader up to P3 already, but LB looking to the outside to try and fight his rival through turns 1 and 2. Lawrence has the inside line. LB's going to fight him all the way round. He's going to keep his nose on the inside. There was nearly contact as he braked for turn 3. That was so close, but they just about get away with it. LB struggling for race pace on these medium tyres. Lawrence seems to be loving these hards at this early stage. Aces still leads from MCL. There was a little brief battle between the two of them through turns 1 and 2, but nothing too much they could do as Aces, was that a flashing light? No, it wasn't. I thought his ERS light flashed at the back of his car for a second, but just my imagination. As Lawrence, oh, I thought he'd spun then, but it was just the next double left-hander. But he's only 1.1 seconds behind those top two. 1.0. Oh, it's going to be so close if he got DRS or not. We're about to find out. I don't think he did. I think he was a few thousandths off it. So he could be vulnerable to LB, but LB is going to be vulnerable to the Aston Martin behind him. Alex gets a great exit out of that long right-hander. Lawrence does not have the DRS. Is LB going to send it into the hairpin? He looks to the inside briefly, but chooses not to send it on his championship rival as Lawrence goes deep at the hairpin, not for the first time today, and Alex is round. I don't think he got tagged. I think he just binned it. That's such a shame for Alex. He has had such a torrid season after the first two Grand Prix went so well for him. Ever since then, it's been a real tough slog, and into the pits he comes for a new front wing. That's such a shame for him. He's going to be hoping for a safety car to bring him back into this one, but it did look like he was struggling from lap 1, to be honest, on those hard tyres. But Aces still leads from MCL, who's actually struggling to keep up at the moment, with Lawrence just behind. Hello Lopez in the chat, great to see you. No Finnish drivers. We've got a virtual safety car. I'm not sure what that's for, but yeah, unfortunately no Finnish drivers on the grid today. We should have Robsu, but he's not racing today, sadly. So I don't know who you want to cheer for, Luppers, but good to see you in the chat. I hope you are well. We do have a VSC. Again, I'm not quite sure what it's for. Did Alex spin out the pit lane or something? He's slowing for a delta at the moment. He's not got damage, so he's safely replaced his front wing. Did Sumo spin? Tier, Jonathan and JB are still very close together on track at the moment, so I don't think there's an incident between them. Does Sumo have his front wing intact? He does.
I think
so...
I might have found it.
Oh, go on.
Jonathan is missing his entire front wing.
Ah, yes, that will probably be what happened. As Aces gets a drive-through, I think Lawrence got one as well. I think the championship leader's been given a drive-through. Let's have a look at the penalties he has. Aces and Lawrence both been given a drive-through for speeding onto the virtual safety car, and it's an absolute disaster for the championship leader and the race leader. He is going to be kicking himself. Lawrence will be, I'm sure, calm as usual, but... he's still going to be annoyed with himself for that, a needless error when he was looking so strong for pace, and a full drive-through penalty has to be served. Jonathan's replacing his front wing in the meantime, but Lawrence is going to drop just in front of Sumo, yeah. So P8 for Lawrence, a long way back, and he's going to be hoping for a safety car to bring him back into this. But Aces, oh, he's looking so fast right now. Those medium tyres used to perfection, 1.6 seconds ahead of MCL, but he's gotten himself a drive-through, and he's going to drop all the way down just like Lawrence. That is such a shame, but it's music to the ears of MCL, but also to LB in his championship battle with Lawrence. It's perfect, exactly what he needed and wanted to happen. Lawrence can still get his way back into the top 6 here, I think, without a safety car, but I think any further than that will be a struggle for him, as he's going to have to really put pedal to the metal to try and catch back up without making any mistakes of his own. But here comes Scott in the meantime on his championship rival LB. Around the outside of the hairpin goes Scott. LB just about keeps him at bay, but Scott's now got the outside line for the final corner. Is this going to end up like it did for Tier earlier on? No, Scott backs out just before the corner, but he's going to have the DRS all the way down towards turn 1. A sensible move from Scott, and he is up onto the podium in that Haas right now. LB seems to be struggling for race pace on these medium tyres. Maybe he'll be better on the hards, who knows. But Scott comes through Sector 1 in P3. Is there line allowed in this league? Yes, there is, Lupis. Assists, the basic assists are allowed in Tier 2. Not that everyone uses them. Scott, of course, is an elite driver, doesn't use assist. Aces doesn't use assists. And Lawrence and Jonathan both have a handicap of not being able to use the racing line, because otherwise they'd be too fast for this tier. But I think everyone else using just the basic assists, one or a few of them, ABS, traction control, line. Nothing too big. It's not like anyone here has got all the assists on or anything, but just for the comfort of the drivers. This is not an elite league. We have an elite division, but not an elite league for assists. As Sumo goes round again in Sector 2, and LB is going to have the DRS on Scott down towards the hairpin once again. Is he going to look to the inside? No, he brakes early and keeps it behind the Haas driver. Sumo looks like he's gone round again, and he is having a torrid time at the moment. How many races remaining? 3 rounds to go, including this one, Lupis. As Aces comes in for his drive-through, he's going to be furious with himself that he's had to serve this. As Tier gets himself a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. I'm not sure how he's managed that, but Aces just exiting the pits now. I think he's still going to be ahead of Lawrence, but I don't know about JB and Tier. Here comes Tier to turn 1. Look on the right-hand side of your screen. Where's the Haas? There it is. Aces just behind him as Tier sails round his outside, but crucially, Aces has come out well ahead of Lawrence at this stage. Again, just like the Williams driver, he's got a lot of work to do to get himself back into this one. As Ace is now already putting that work in as he looks to the outside of Tier, breaks late for the corner at the end of Sector 1. Can he make the move? Yes, he can, because Tier has spun it on his own. I don't think there was any contact between them, and Tier down to P7, and now just ahead of Lawrence, who's going to be looking to make the move as well pretty shortly. I think I might have cursed Tier earlier on. Sorry about that, Tier. But it's MCL now who leads this race by over 3 seconds from Scott. It has all worked out for the Spanish driver after he got his win taken away from him last week in the stewards room. He is in P1 and has a comfortable margin, so looking to control this race as we've got another yellow flag. That's Jonathan going round in the Aston Martin, unfortunately, in the meantime. As LB just behind Scott, still not able to make that move. As here comes Lawrence now on the Red Bull of Tier. Should be a simple plain sailing move with the DRS down towards the hairpin, and it's job done for the Williams driver. Or is it? He's gone deep into the hairpin, and that could invite Tier back through, and it has. So Lawrence has got to get him again down towards turn 1. Mistakes being made by the championship leader here. Krauser into the pits early on. Probably damage to the McLaren. It is. It's a new front wing, so that'll help out Lawrence as he gets past Tier again into turn 1. He's got no ERS on that Williams though, so he's got to make sure he makes this stick, and he just about has done on those hard tyres through turns 1, 2 and 3, and Lawrence is ahead, but Tier's going to be no pushover. It nearly loses the rear though on the exit of turn 3 as they head down towards the next braking zone, and Lawrence is ahead of the Red Bull for now. But if Tier can keep that DRS down on the back straight, he could have a chance to make it back through. MCL's lead, by the way, has come down by about half a second this last lap. Scott really charging him down. LB in P3. Can you put me link to this league in Discord? Lopez, are you in ESRL by any chance? Because if so, there's a very easy place that you can find the link to this league. But if not, yeah, send a DM to me. Either way works. If you share a server with me, then go for it. Jonathan's gone around again. He is not having a good time in that Aston Martin right now in China. Great qualifying lap, although it looked great originally. But yeah, he's struggled this season, but he'll only get better without the racing line. I'm sure of it. ESRL, it's another league I commentate for that you've watched quite a lot. So yes, you are in ESRL Discord. Oh, okay. Then there should be a channel called, I think it's called Leagues and Discords or something like that. And APPF1 is one of the links that's there. So check it out, and you'll see it right there.
Hashtag server affiliations for your information. Just going to cut in as well. The reason LB might be struggling on race pace is because he didn't get past due to lack of straight line speed. It was because he had a half spin in that long right-hander. I just caught the end of it when it started.
So LB, a little bit of a spin would have put his heart in his mouth for a second there as Jonathan gets himself a time penalty for track limits, but through the long right-hander, and it's easy to see why LB made a half spin, because Scott gets such a good exit out that corner as Jonathan spins again in the Aston Martin in Sector 1, and LB a long way behind, unable to catch up to the Haas driver of Scott, who is flying through that long right-hander, and at the moment LB has no answer to him. Just playing it safe is the Alfa Romeo driver. He knows Lawrence is in trouble today, so he just wants to keep it together as Scott goes into the pits. It goes very, very deep on entry, but just about keeps it within the lines, or out of the wall rather. And well, he'll be lucky. He's lucky that there's no gravel there anymore on the outside. Doesn't want to do a Lewis Hamilton 2007. But into the pits comes the Haas driver. A scheduled pit stop. It's the hard tyres. Why is he waiting for so long? Is that just a bug? Oh no, was it a new front wing maybe? I'm not sure, but Tier and Lawrence are fighting again. Tier has stayed with the championship leader, and there's contact between the two of them as they come through turn 3, but I don't know if there was any damage sustained, nothing visible as Jonathan's spinned it again out of that long right-hander. I wouldn't be surprised to see an early retirement here. He's having a horrible time by the looks of it, as Lawrence stays ahead of Tier for now, but he's got to be careful as the championship championship leader. He's got a lot more to lose than Tia does. Yes, this is a PlayStation League, Luppers. Only PlayStation drivers here today. But Lawrence just ahead of Tia as Tia gets a big snap of oversteer on the exit of the double right-hander, but still just about in DRS range and could be able to make a move on the Williams driver as MCL now gets a 3-second penalty for track limits. He's must have gotten that at the hairpin. So that could be big news, and Jonathan's retired from the session, and that is a safety car. At this late stage, MCL's just come into the pits, but LB, all of his luck from last week with the safety car coming out just in time for him, and I think it's all come back to haunt him, because he's had a safety car come out. It's just as he went past the last corner, he's going to have to pit, and nearly hits the safety car in frustration as well, coming round turn 3. He's going to have to pit again. He's going to be all the way down to the back of the grid, and well, that has really put a huge spanner in the works for his race, as he's going to be desperately trying to get this safety car to hurry up, but there's nothing he can do. It's going to go at its own pace. Everyone into the pits behind him for fresh tyres, and LB, just as Jack Alaco got absolutely shafted in Mexico in a very similar situation, LB has found himself in the same situation today. Disaster for the Alfa Romeo driver, and that's such a shame. Jonathan in the chat, yeah, really struggling. Really struggling. Look, man, keep it up for this season. Keep it up for this season. 2 more tracks to go. And Brazil should be an easy one, I'm hoping, as Aces nearly goes into the back of JB there. But, you know, look, man, keep it up for this season, and I don't know your availability for Fridays, but we'll see, because you know, I want everyone to be, I want people to be similar on pace. I don't want anyone in Tier 2 to just completely run away with the championship with no one able to challenge them, because that's not fun. But also don't want anyone to be having such a horrible time that they're not having any fun at all. So we'll see JB leaving the session. Hopefully he can get back in, but LB into the pits, and he might not drop back as far as I thought, because a lot of people still haven't caught up. Alex G, the first of them, he's coming to the hairpin right now in the Aston Martin. LB just into the pit lane right now and into his pit box for fresh, hard tyres, but Alex coming around the last corner. Where's the Alfa Romeo? Look on the right-hand side of your screen. Can he come out ahead of LB? Yes, he can, just about. Very close, but LB is ahead of the McLaren of Krauser, crucially. So he's come out in P7 at this safety car, and not too much of a detriment to him. But could have been worse, but he's still going to feel very unlucky with that safety car coming out at just the wrong time. And MCL will be thinking, well, his lucky stars, he will be counting many of them, because he came into the pits happened to at this exact same lap that the safety car came out. So he still leads this race, but it's Scott in the net lead thanks to MCL's penalty right now. I'm just going to see about that chat message. Where can you get a reserve seat to Tier 2? Well, if you've joined the server, after I've finished commentating on this, I can walk you through the steps. But there are seats available in all 3 divisions at the moment in the league. So you don't have to be a reserve, you can get a seat wherever you want. And oh, thank you, Rick, that's much appreciated. But safety car doesn't look like it'll be in this lap. It's still waiting for Sumo, who's at the end of the back straight. It might come in very, very late here. They've got to be careful as it's coming around the hairpin. Sumo's just about to catch up. Is it going to come in very late? Sumo around the hairpin. I think he's just too late. And yeah, the safety car goes around the final corner, so it'll be out for one more lap. And Sumo catches back up. Back in this race is the British driver. Through they go. Would no ABS even work next season? We would have to do some testing. We'd have to see what your pace is like without it and see where we are. I mean, you know, we'll see, because I want to find a solution that works, you know, but I also want to keep things fair. So we'll have a look at your pace, and if things don't work, then we'll have to have a rethink. But the last thing I want to do is lose you from the league because you're too fast, you know. But if you can't make Fridays, we've got to have a solution, because we can't be having someone who's just completely dominates the league with zero effort, because it's not fun for the person, and it's not fun for the rest of the division either. So yeah, we'll see. We will see. But anyways, safety car should be in this lap as MCL follows it round the end of sector 2. We'll see as it hits the sector line. There we go, safety car in this lap. The lights go off on the red Mercedes, and round they come through the final sector for the 14th time. Yeah, it's tricky because some people adjust to no line a lot better than other people. Like Lawrence has been fantastic with no line, as have others in the past. So, you know, we'll see. We just have to work something out that's best for everyone. But anyway, the safety car coming in. MCL is leading this Grand Prix. When is he going to decide to punch it? Well, right on board with the Alpine driver. He can go whenever he wants. The safety car in the pit lane is going to go out of the final corner. Has he caught Scott napping? No, he hasn't. Scott still just behind him. But JB, who started in last place in this race, is up to P3 and looking to make more progress. He's on the medium tyres, so he's going to have the better tyres. But oh no, he's still not in the session. That's right. I don't know if you can send him another invite, Rick, if he can't use that one. So he's going to drop all the way down. That's such a shame for him. But Aces, as a result, up to P3. Have a good evening as well, Jonathan. Lawrence up to P4. He's going to be delighted to see the misfortune that has befallen his championship rival Alex getting past the ghosted car of JB as well. Oh, such a shame for JB. He was on for an amazing finish today. But round they go. MCL leads by over a second already from Scott, who's struggling to keep up at this early stage. JB's joined back again, but it's too late for him to keep the position he was in, which is such a shame. Crozer getting a 3-second time penalty as well, but MCL has got that track limits penalty to deal with. So as long as Scott can stay with him, he's got a great chance of winning this race, but so has anyone else behind them, because it's all very close out there at this stage. LB struggling to keep up with Alex. Krauser not too far behind, but not able to make a move down towards the hairpin. I think LB's straight line speed is just really, really bad, Rick. I know you said he got the half spin as Aces forces his teammate wide in the hairpin. I don't know how Scott's going to feel about that, but Ace is up to P2 as a result of it, and now he chases after the race leader, MCL, and Lawrence is going to look to make a move on the struggling Haas as well. As he looks to the outside, a bit of wheel banging on the straight. That could have ended in big, big tears for the both of them, but Lawrence with the up and under has the inside line for turn 2. It's going to be the outside though for turn 3, and Scott should be able to keep that position. Alex sniffing around as well just behind them, and LB not too far back, watching to see if anything goes wrong, and something could yet go wrong as Lawrence looks to the outside. Scott breaks very late on the inside line and goes deep on the exit. Lawrence gets a beautiful switchback, and the championship leader is back onto the podium with a great overtake on Scott, who's down to P4 in a matter of half a lap, and he's going to be under pressure from Alex as well, just behind him, who's desperate for a good race, and he's on better tyres as well. Here comes the Aston Martin. He's going to send it down the inside. That's a fantastic move from the Ukrainian driver. Nothing Scott could do about it, and Alex up to P4, and now Scott's under pressure from LB just behind him as well. He is in free fall right now on these hard tyres, seems to be really struggling at this moment. Here comes LB just behind him. We'll see. Here's the slipstream is working. He's using the ERS as well. Looks to the outside to make this move on the Haas driver, and Scott breaks late, and there's a bit of contact between the two of them. They're still side by side as they go around the penultimate corner and down towards the final corner. Who's brave enough? It's LB. Scott backs out. It's deja vu from earlier in the race, and LB takes the place. Or keeps the place, no, take the place, I mean to say, up to P5, and Scott all the way down to P6 in one lap. He's going to be annoyed and wondering how on earth this has happened, as Alex now putting the pressure on Lawrence, who's trying to catch back up to Aces, but 1.2 seconds separates them. Aces on fire in this Grand Prix so far, 12 laps to go, including this one. Still plenty of time for some drama to happen, as Tier right behind Krauser as well, looking for a move. A lot of drivers have had absolutely torrid races today, and this safety car has brought them right back into it. Sumo, Alex, Lawrence as well, and I think JB too. So it's all coming together for them, and they're staying with the pack for now, including Sumo, who's doing an impressive job for now. But MCL leads by 1.5 seconds now from the Haas of Aces as they go down towards the hairpin, as that Scott round in the long right-hander. It's such a shame. It's a disaster for the ESRL league owner. Down to P10 he goes, as Alex now makes the move on Lawrence, looks to the outside of the hairpin, gets to switch back on the exit, doesn't bin it into the wall like he did earlier in this Grand Prix, trying to do a similar thing, but down to the final corner, it's Lawrence still ahead, but Alex using that ERS. They've both got the DRS, so no advantage there, but Alex looking to the inside. Can he make the move? No, back into the slipstream and has to stick behind, but this is very, very close between them. Sticks his nose in. There's always going to be contact if he does that, and there was, but they've both just about gotten away with it. I don't know how Lawrence will feel about that, but Alex backs out, and Lawrence keeps the place, but lost a bit of time to Aces, which could be very, very costly if he drops out of DRS here. Alex, though, sticking behind him. LB's just sniffing around as well, but just doesn't seem to have the race pace today. This first stint was uninspiring. Then, of course, he got the poor luck with the safety car, but he just doesn't seem to be able to stick with these guys today. On track. He's well ahead of Krauser and the rest of them, but just can't stick with the top four for now. He's just about sticking with them just at the moment, but I think mostly the battling is helping him out. So we'll see if he can bring the pace back towards the end of this stint like he did last week in Japan. But Tier now just behind Krauser. This should be move done for the Red Bull driver. ERS deployed. DRS is going to be deployed as well down towards the hairpin. What a challenge this is indeed, Lopez, as Tier makes the move. Krauser with a bit of a defensive move just to try and put him off a bit, but Tier does get that done at the hairpin. Krauser tries to get the switchback on him, but it's not going to work, but he is going to get the outside line. Tier forces him off the track. I don't think Krauser was expecting to have such a good entry there, as he's going to have the DRS, but it's not going to be enough after that little kerfuffle at the last corner, and a little bit of Little bit of argy-bargy between the two. No contact, but great racing. And Sumo's right in this battle as well. Scott not too far down. He should be catching up pretty soon if they continue to battle like this. But look at the front. Aces versus Kings is in DRS range of MCL. And the Alpine driver has got no ERS in the tank either. He's going to struggle to keep this race lead, and he's got that 3-second penalty to deal with as well. I think he may have to wait a bit longer for his first APP race victory. But again, it's been a fantastic drive from the Spaniard, but just doesn't seem to have quite as much pace as Aces at this stage. I think LB might have heard me earlier on, by the way, because he is rapidly improving on pace. Through the long right-hander he goes, and he's just behind Alex and Lawrence. Can he make any sort of move on his championship rival? Could we see a double overtake here on Lawrence as they go down towards the hairpin? We've got to ride on board with LB to see what's going on. Lawrence and Alex go side by side. LB is going to try and get the switchback on both of them, and he's done exactly that, but it's not quite enough. Doesn't get the exit he wanted. And Lawrence and Alex still side by side down towards the final corner. This could end very badly. There's a bit of contact, and LB's made his way past his championship rival as a result. Alex has got no ERS left either as LB looks to the outside of the Aston Martin down towards turns 1 and 2. Who's going to come out in front here? Alex has got the inside line for 2, but it's going to be the outside for 3. LB could get his way onto the podium here on these hard tyres, and he has done as Alex gets oversteer on the exit. They're still side by side, him and Lawrence, as they go down towards the next part of the track, but it's Lawrence who's ahead. Alex sends one though into the next braking zone. A bit more contact between the two. Some very aggressive, gutsy driving from the Ukrainian, but I think his luck's out now. Down to P5 he goes, and Lawrence remains in P4, but LB and Alex have swapped since the start of that back straight. But LB onto the podium and looking to gain at least a couple of points on Lawrence today. They've both been unfortunate, but remember, Lawrence could be in trouble with the stewards later. We'll have to just watch out and see if anything happens with that. Sumo's out of the race. Oh no, he was having such a good race. He was right on the back of those McLarens and really sticking it to them, but safety car has been brought out as a result of that, and we're going to get 8 laps here of pure racing drama. MCL leads the Grand Prix with that 3-second penalty, but Aces, LB, Lawrence, Alex and Tier all behind with no penalty. MCL could lose a huge amount here. Are they going to come into the pits? MCL is in, Aces as well, LB to Lawrence. I think everyone's, no, not everyone in. Alex G stays out on the 8-lap-old medium tyres as everyone else comes in for softs. Tier as well, Krauser, JB and Scott, everyone in except this man, Alex G. And how much is he going to regret that, if at all? MCL goes on to the mediums, in fact. He doesn't think the softs are good enough at this late stage. Has anyone else done the same? No, it looks like everyone else is going for softs. So some interesting calls here. Scott in as well for a set of... It is the softs too, so everyone on the soft tyre except for Alex, who stayed out, and MCL, who pitted for mediums. Obviously maybe just didn't have a set of softs he was comfortable with putting on. But down towards sector 2, with the safety car out, we're going to get 6 or 7 laps, I think, of very, very hard racing here in China to end off this race. Sumo's going to be absolutely gutted as he was having a great time out there. But this has really put the cosh on it. LB and Lawrence, 4th and 5th, respectively. They've both had their misfortunes in this race. But it's LB now who has the advantage over his championship rival and could stand to gain quite a few points if Lawrence does get a penalty for the qualifying incident. We'll have to wait and see. But I think there might be some persuasive DMs going on from both sides towards JB. So just be careful of your inbox, JB, if you're watching. But yeah, some big championship implications here. as LB and Lawrence, I'm sure, are going to be fighting very, very hard for each and every point at this stage. I think Lawrence has got a lot more to lose, though, as he 19 points ahead. Of course, he draws alongside with LB. This is great, great rivalry between these two. Hello, Jacko, in the chat, who's at Derek Adams Ball at Ross County. How are you doing, mate? How's it going? Where you are right now. It'll be great to have you back on the grid next week. You'll be pleased to see that Robsu is not racing today, so the Constructors' Championship battle remains very much alive. But it's the Drivers' Championship battle that these two are interested in, LB and Lawrence. Lawrence drawing alongside with him at any time that he can, just to pass on a bit of a message, I think. You're 2-0 up at half-time. Very good. Very good. We'll follow in the footsteps of Plymouth and get a nice match win, hopefully. But, safety car should be in this lap. We're going to get 6 laps of green flag racing at the end of this thrilling and topsy-turvy Grand Prix. It's Alex G who leads the race, but he's on 10-lap-old medium tyres. Sumo is gutted in the chat, and I know exactly why. Such a shame. He was driving so well. Mate, what happened? Was it just, did you just bin it on the exit? Gutted for you, man. Absolutely gutted. But yeah, indeed, safety car in this lap, and Alex has got so much work to do to hold these guys off. MCL on the fresh mediums, Alex on 10-lap-old mediums, and I just can't see anything else apart from him going into absolute free fall here. He's going to be so slow in all of the corners compared to the drivers behind him. And we could see some incidents in these last few laps. But it's all yet to see as MCL drives ahead of Alex, and hopefully that hasn't caused a safety car bug. He's let the Aston Martin back through, so that's good. And Alex slowing everyone down to a crawl under this safety car restart. Oh, you gave it too much. Yeah, you were having a brilliant fight. I saw it happening. I thought finally Suma's going to get some good racing, and then I just see you in the wall. But down towards the hairpin they go. When is Alex going to punch it? Is it going to be out of the hairpin? No, not quite yet. He's still slowing down. MCL right with him, but he's gone just before the final corner, and he hasn't quite caught MCL napping. And in fact, MCL with a better grip could get him as early as turn 1 here. Lap 23 of 28. Here we go for what should be the final stint of this Grand Prix. MCL to the inside, but gets too much of the curb and goes very, very deep. And Aces could be allowed to find his way through. There's nearly contact between the two as Aces tried to stick his nose in, but to no avail, as here comes MCL. There's just no grip on that Aston Martin. 11-lap-old medium tyres compared to fresh mediums and softs. There's just nothing he's going to be able to do on the exit here. MCL gets his way through and leads the Grand Prix once again as Lawrence and LB go side by side, the two championship rivals, and LB's into the grass and deep, and he's all the way down to P8. It could be P9 here as JB looks to find his way through as well, but he has to stay behind, and it's a disaster for LB. I'm not sure if Lawrence forced him wide. I didn't quite see enough of the action, but LB is going to be fuming with that one as Lawrence has gotten away with it. He's in P4 and he's chasing after Alex and Aces for that podium spot. He's got a race win this season from last week, but can he do any more? Can he do it again today? MCL leads with a time penalty, but Aces gets past Alex for P2. Can Lawrence get past for P3? No. Can Tia get past Lawrence for P4 as he sends it to the inside but locks the rears? And loses it on entry and has to go over the corner as Krauser now side by side with Lawrence and makes his way past in the McLaren round the outside, but he does have that track limits penalty as well to his name, as now Tier trying to find his way through again. Lawrence really struggling now. He's down to P6 in this final stage of the Grand Prix. Tier nearly into the back of Krauser, everyone's nearly into the back of each other. Scott right behind the championship leader, and LB's in waiting as well. What on earth is going on at this crazy race? Tier looking for a way past Lawrence, no, Krauser, sorry, looking for a way past Alex as he goes down the inside. The really struggling Aston Martin tries to keep him at bay. Krauser nearly loses it on the exit, just about keeps it on the track as they go through the S section now. Krauser is passed up to P3 in the McLaren, but with a track limits penalty, and Lawrence tries to find his way past as well with the double right-hander. He makes the move. Alex is really regretting staying out on those horrible old medium tyres, as everyone looks for a way past. LB, I think, goes for an unintentional move on Scott, but has to back out of it. No harm done, luckily. But MCL leads, but it's Aces who's 1.2 behind. Krauser 3 seconds behind him, so it's all about these top two for the win, and Aces looks like he's got it in the bag because of the penalty for MCL. Here comes Lawrence now on the McLaren to the inside, looking for P3, is the championship leader, and he's made it work. He was down to P6 at the start of this lap, and he's up to P3 again now as Alex continues to shift positions. It's just like I said, he's just a sitting duck at every corner, and he has made a terrible mistake here to stay out on those mediums. DRS now enabled. We've got 4 laps to go in this thrilling Grand Prix. Who can call the podium at this stage? I know I can't, as they all file through Sector 1. JB trying to find his way past this Aston Martin as well. I think Alex is going to finish a very disappointing P9 here, unless there's any more drama to come in this Grand Prix. But yeah, that's a huge error from the Ukrainian driver, but he'll learn from this. He'll know, and whenever he thinks about staying out on old tyres, when there's 6 laps to go, he'll think back to this race and think, no, maybe I will come in for the softs, actually. So hopefully he does take something from this Grand Prix. He's raced so well. It's just that strategy decision at the end that's cost him. I did say sitting. I definitely did not say that word, Lapis. As LB now right behind Tier. There's a flashing red light on the back of that Red Bull, so very vulnerable now is Tier, and LB is going to look for a way past up to P5 to try and take as many points as possible off his championship rival if Lawrence gets a penalty for qualifying. But if not, he just wants to minimize the damage as he looks to the inside. He's got the DRS, he's got the ERS advantage as well, and LB up to 5th place as Scott now goes for the move on Tier as well, and he breaks too late and forces LB off at the hairpin. LB's going to be furious with that as Lawrence gets past Krauser in the meantime while we were watching them. Aces is right behind MCL for the race win. Lap 26 of 28, 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and LB has left the session. LB's left the session in the Alfa Romeo. Is that a rage quit? Is that a disconnect? I don't know, but he's going to drop all the way to the back as a result of that. I don't know if Rick can send him an invite, but I think it may be too late regardless. He's down to P9. Scott is going to be in the doghouse for that one, I think, in the Haas, and he's up to P6 at the moment, but yeah, I think, no, he's round, almost in sympathy for LB. He's round at the right-hander just as I was riding on board with him, and now he's down to P9. Who can call the final positions of this race? LB's back in the race, so it was just a disconnect, but that's so unfortunate at this late stage. 2.5 laps left to go. LB just trying to minimize the damage at this point. Lawrence is on the podium at the moment, but he's got Krauser just behind, but the McLaren driver does have that penalty to deal with. But it's still been a fantastic race from Krauser, I have to say. He's been really impressive today. Just that penalty costing him in the end, but there's still 2 laps left to go in this one as Scott goes round again at the long right-hander. Oh no, Scott, it's all gone wrong for him. Maybe he got damage from that contact with LB, who knows. But MCL gets himself another penalty, and here comes Aces round the outside to make the move for the race lead. As he goes down towards turn 1, MCL backs out, and Aces leads the Grand Prix with 2 laps to go. MCL nearly round at turn 2, just about keeps it going on the right direction, but he's got 6 seconds of penalties now, and as it stands, he would drop behind Lawrence and gift the Williams driver P2 in this race. He's still going to get a podium as it stands, but he's got to keep it on track and make no more of those mistakes. Although Aces has no ERS left as well, Sumo is cheering the Haas driver on. Neither of them have got much in the way of battery, but MCL has a little bit more. But 6 seconds of penalties, it's not going to matter. 1.5 laps left to go. I don't know where anyone's going to finish in these last positions. It could go anywhere as it stands. Alex is somehow in P7 still on those mediums. LB's back in the session, so he should be able to get past, I think, for P7 before the end. But he's going to be fuming with how this race has gone. It's really not gone his way, as Alex gets a huge snap on the exit of the double right-hander and lets LB through up to P7. As JB... a long way behind Tia, a long way behind Krauser, but it's MCL and Aces swapping places again for the race lead. MCL back up to P1, and in fact he's now got a 6-second gap to Lawrence, which is what he needs to secure P2 in this race, which I think is what he'll deserve anyway. But Aces is the one to watch. Round the final corner he goes for the final lap of this Grand Prix. He's lost the DRS though as Aces, and but MCL's got no ERS left at all. Ace is still a few percent, but nothing to speak home about. And Lawrence 5.5 seconds behind Aces. It could go anywhere this Grand Prix, but all the gaps have opened out. For the rest of the positions, it's only a mistake that can change the way things look now. But Krauser, as it stands, would drop behind Tia thanks to his track limits penalty, but it would still be P5 and 6 for the McLarens, which is a good day for them. As the race leaders come through Sector 2 for the final time in this Grand Prix. MCL leads the way, but with 6 seconds of track limits penalties. Aces half a second behind him. He'll have the DRS down towards the hairpin, but I don't know if he'll even want to make the move. He knows how many penalties MCL's got. He doesn't need to do anything here. As he comes round the long right-hander, he's got the DRS, just lifts off to avoid spinning. That was a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment for the Haas driver. He's got the DRS enabled, he wants it on track. He doesn't care about the penalties as he looks to the inside of the hairpin, down towards the hairpin. Scott's out of the race, he's retired into the wall on the final lap. He'll still get classified though, as Aces and MCL are going to go side by side into the last corner. Surely Aces backs out of this one. No, he keeps it around the outside. A bit of contact, but Aces wins the Chinese Grand Prix. MCL comes home in second place, I think. No, it's P3 in the end. Lawrence gets him by 3/10. Tia in P4. Krauser finishes P6 behind his teammate in the end by half a second. JB in P5 after everything that's happened to him in this race. LB is going to be furious with P7, and then it's Alex in P8, and Scott will be classified in P9. What a race that was. I barely had any breaks at all. It was only right at the end when I had a bit of a break of speaking, but wow, what a Grand Prix. Absolutely, Sumo. Couldn't agree more. You had a great race there. Just a shame. Gave it a bit too much, but I think you're giving it too much because you're in the battle, and that's the key takeaway. Rather than just spinning out on your own at the back, you were right there in the mix. So very encouraging race for you, mate. But it's Aces versus Kings who wins the Chinese Grand Prix. in spectacular fashion. His first APP race win in a very, very long time. Lawrence in P2 as he extends his championship lead, and he's looking formidable going into the final 2 rounds, but one of them is Baku. MCL finishes P3 in the end, which he'll be disappointed with, but still a good podium for him. And then Tia and JB make out the rest of the top 5, with Krauser, LB, Alex and Scott the last of the classified drivers, and Sumo and Jonathan unable to finish. What a race. Couldn't call that at any point. And the championship really going to the wire for the constructors, but the drivers, Lawrence takes a big lead going into a track he has a very bad history with at Baku, so we'll have to see how that goes. Oh, have you got anything to add, Rick, before we go into the interviews?
Yeah, that might be one of the most chaotic races I have ever seen. So, fair play to Tier 2 for keeping that entertaining throughout the entire race, not just the end with the safety cars. But yeah, watching silently, I think you notice a lot more. Like I saw a lot of people struggle with the braking, especially having the brake bars a bit too low, maybe 1 or 2%. Sometimes I saw Tier had a few moments. MCL had one, of course, in the dying laps. So I think people struggle with that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a real struggle towards the end for a lot of the drivers on those tyres. I think those softs were starting to give way. But Alex is going to be frustrated with himself for that. But like I said, I think he can take a lot away from that and take that knowledge into his future league races. But anyways, I'm going to get into the Tier 2 party. I don't know if you want to join me, Rick, for the interviews. So sorry to blue screen you all, but I will be right back.
Yeah, invite me, why not?
Alright, we've got Lawrence in the party, and Rick's in as well. We'll just wait for Aces and MCL to join, and then we'll get started with the interviews.
I'm here, mate.
Alright, MCL's here as well, so just Aces, who I think is still celebrating. Aces is in the party. I'm just going to invite Rick as well again.
What's going on here? I've got music in my ears.
All right, that's everyone in. So we'll start with Aces, our race winner, and in APPF1. And how long has it been since we last said those words? Aces, how does it feel to get back on the top step?
Let's go! Come on, I am gassed right now, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. I'm gassed. I'm feeling like Hamilton when he won the First World Championship right now. It's been so long. Swear down. Let's go. To be fair, it was an up and down race. I ain't even gonna lie. I felt good at the start. I managed to make a good couple of overtakes to get me into P1. and then I made a stupid mistake under the VSC, got myself a drive-through, and I thought I'll do the drive-through and I'll just stay out as long as possible and just hope for that safety car, and it happened to come out, and I was like, wow, okay, it's on now, it is on, and that was it. It was just pedal to the metal.
Well, absolutely. I mean, what a Grand Prix. I mean, I think it was up and down for pretty much everyone on the grid today, so you're not alone. But, I mean, that last stint, you seemed so in the zone today. Your pace was really, really good, and I barely saw a mistake from you. Is China a favorite of yours, or was this just a particularly good day on the office for you?
I'm not even gonna lie, Ghost. We had this interview last week, and I said to you I was not looking forward to this race.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that.
But I'd done a bit, maybe an hour or so, and then I Elite on Sunday, and I was mainly using that to take into this, and it's just paid off for me, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I just feel gassed right now. Like right now, it's just sick. When I crossed that line. And obviously, apologies to MC, I wasn't really thinking about... I knew he had 3 seconds, but I know in previous races, 3 seconds have been removed for this reason or that reason. So I just wanted to get past, bro. It was just one of them. I just had to take it by the scruff of the neck and just make it mine.
I'll make it good.
Yes, brother. Respect, man.
Well, anyway, congratulations, Aces. First race win for a while. I'll try and... I wonder if Rick can try and work out when your last race win was in the background on APP. Go for it.
He's on it. He's on it. I actually think it was the end of 2021. It was that long ago, you know. I went for that back-to-back wins like in 2021. I think since then it's just been a bit of an up and down. But mate, that don't matter now. Here today, I'm a race winner again in APP.
Brilliant to see you back on the top, Steph Aces, and
you,
may it happen many more times to come.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed, man. This is giving me the urge to do it again and again and again.
Love it.
Roll on next season. Let's go.
Can't wait. Well, congrats again. And we'll move now on to Lawrence, who's our P2 finisher today. So again, I think very much up and down race for you. It's just funny to me that the two drivers who got drive-throughs at the first safety car have ended up 1 and 2 in the race. How was that one for you, Lawrence?
It's probably my worst race in APPF1 Tier 2, I think. It was just awful. The car was crap, in all honesty. But no, Aces drove blindingly out the front. Also MCL, I didn't have an answer for that pace in the last stint, but I got involved in the battle with Alex and LB. Lost a lot of time there. Crowds were also getting I just lost a lot of time on the safety car restart. I was, turning the air blue with my language once I realised the drive-through penalty as well. I was safely within Delta, and then all of a sudden, the last minute.
That's exactly what happened to me. Sorry to jump in. I was a second in the Delta.
Yeah, I was roughly the same, and all of a sudden it just vanished into nothing. I wasn't even anywhere near the braking zone, which was really frustrating as well. Yeah, it was a bit of a harsh drive-through penalty, but thankfully the safety car redeemed me.
Yeah, I mean, your championship rival couldn't have got unluckier timing for that safety car, which I think probably made you a little happier about how it went. But at the end there, it was pretty dicey. You had a couple of moments with LB towards the end of that race. But, I mean, how was it for you at the end there with all the battles going on?
It was just trying to keep it on the track. Myself and LB, he ran wide onto the grass here. Pointed the finger at me straight away, but I left him more than the car's width. I felt anyway. I think he was just lamenting a poor race as well. But I think, well, equally I was as well. It was like I said. I think it's probably myself and LB's worst performance of the season tonight.
Well, I mean, to finish P2 on your worst race of the season, I wouldn't say that's bad going. So, congrats on the podium. And
one race at a time. Yeah, we will celebrate when it happens, but at the moment it's just all about getting over the finish line, and yeah, what will be will be.
Well, wise words, and the constructor's still very much up for grabs as well, so I'm sure you'll have your focus on that as well. But congrats again, Lawrence, on another podium, and we'll see you on track next week.
Yeah, cheers. I'll catch you next week.
All right, and down to MCL now in P3. It's another podium interview for you, but a first podium out of the two that will actually stay. Fingers crossed, maybe on your end. But I mean, how was that for you? Obviously, the time penalties really put a dampener on your race, but still, P3, not too bad going out of that.
Yeah, I think it's an okay result. I drove very bad. I just didn't know how to drive on this track, what lines to take, what brake bias. I think you saw me locking up many times. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I saw you go around a couple times.
So yeah, as the race was progressing, I was learning the braking points and the brake bias and what lines to take and what gears and so on. Sadly, I wish I could have had also softs after the safety car restart, the last one. But I had two sets of soft, and both of them were 10% since qualifying. So, yeah, better new mediums than those used soft there.
Yeah, well, I mean, fair enough. It was an inspired decision in the end, but it must have been scary with all of those drivers on softs right behind you.
It was especially when having a penalty, knowing you have to pull the penalty time, and on top of it, with less grip on the tire.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still did a fantastic job to get yourself on the podium. How are you feeling about Baku coming up? And, of course, Brazil, the season finale. Is either of them a good track for you, or really apprehensive about any of them?
Yeah, I think in Brazil I am decent, but in Baku I hate too much the walls. I always end up with a broken leg.
Well, Baku, I mean, it's one of those tracks where literally anything can happen and anyone can finish in any position. So I'm sure you won't be alone in that.
Yeah, I would like just to finish by saying congrats to Aces, very well raced, and I can understand why you went for the move there on the penultimate corner. I would have done the same, honestly. You don't know if I gonna get the penalty removed or not, so yeah, well done, well raced. Crazy pace, by the way, mate, you were flying.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate. Also, congrats to Lawrence on the P2, but I'm sorry, I might get it back, mate. I have a warning here and there that might get removed, so sorry.
No,
See.
fine,
Hear that?
You, in all honesty, MCL, your pace deserved their P2, so yeah.
Yeah, mate, GG.
Or P1 at least. I don't know.
Well, congrats to all three of you on a podium, and I'm just going to extend the microphone to Rick, as I think he has found the date that Aces last won a race in APP.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so Aces, it has been mate. 611 days since you last won a race in APPF1. That is that date is the 3rd of April 2022 in Sprint Season 7 at Monza.
Oh wow! You might as well call me a Mercedes driver.
Aces versus Kings, aka Fernando Alonso.
Bro, I'll take it, bro. I win every 600 and something days. It feels good. I ain't care. I'll take it. Let's go.
You know what? I'm
So
changing it right now.
what happened? What was that number again?
611.
611 days ago. I'm
I mean,
googling it.
I will say it's always great to see such a veteran of the league get a race win after a long time of being off the top step. So,
Thank you, Ghost. I appreciate that, bro.
mate, I'm pretty sure you're in. I think Rick worked this out a couple of weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure you're at least in the top 5 or 6 of most races completed of anyone in the league. So, great to see you back on the top.
Well, to be fair, bro, this is the league that I've always been consistent from day one. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
I think I joined season 2, maybe. I think maybe season 2 I joined. Or the end of season 1. I'm just starting. I'm not
Yeah,
too
I think
sure.
it was end of season 1 of Tier 1. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like consistency. I appreciate all the admin and everything, what they do. And it's just a good league, man. The drivers are good. We have good community. And it's just, we help each other. Yes, there's some, you know, track incidents that happen, but that's just the heat of the moment. At the end of the day, we all come together to race because that's what we love to do, is race. And that's what the main thing is, to, like, you know, put back into the admins what they put into the league to get the good racing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I can't think of a better way to end off these interviews and to end this stream. So with that, I say congrats to the podium sitters, and thank you to all the drivers and to everyone who was watching. And I'll see you all next week for more APPF1. We will be in Baku. Don't miss it. Goodbye, everyone.